Alright, so I did a video of how I did the US30 trade, and it lasted an hour and I think like 45 minutes. But basically at the time, let me put my Spaceman on. It was, yeah, it was like right around 9:30, I think was, yeah, it was actually a little after that because we were waiting for this price to move up right around here. And there wasn't a single print. So this single print was actually done. Let me change this. I don't know why this is this way. I think I'm gonna do 5. The single print was not formed because it was only formed during the, that's beautiful, during this day, which was yesterday, earlier this morning, pretty much. So that's how we got this single print, which is that orange line. So we were basically waiting for that to move on up, for that price to go up, and we were aiming for this, I guess you could call it order block. At the time there was this excess that's right here. How do I move my drawing without, here you go. Shoot, I didn't think it was that close. Alright, I'm gonna move it back, I'm sorry. So it was this arrow, I'm sorry, not this arrow, it was around this block right here, this purple line, excess point, excess bar, purple right here. That's what we were aiming for. So I stopped around, I took my positions out manually. I believe it was like right around here. It wasn't a big deal or anything, yeah, so I definitely left a lot of money out on the table for this trade. But I honestly didn't want to stay until like freaking noon because I have to go to work. I work midnight, so I'm not gonna stay up all freaking night. I'm just gonna, I think, delete all drawings here. So we waited for that to basically happen and for it to fill. So that was beautifully done. How it all went up. I believe the initial balance was right around down here, and I think we waited for like a retest or something. I'll have to, let me see if I got my settings right. Okay, so this didn't even show. I'm going to save as a default and think that's why I was having difficulty. Alright, so yeah, we were waiting for an initial balance retest. But it more so we tested this candle, which is like a previous high. I hate these stupid fucking. So we retested that pretty much, like relatively close to it or whatever, but I anticipated a move for this to retest again. Nas, I think, played out a lot better than I had anticipated. This one actually, I want to say it retested the initial balance a lot better. So this isn't even set to my settings completely. Yep, it did. So this one actually retested the initial balance, retested the EMA. At the time we have, or currently we have the 34 EMA, which is the blue line right here that we have. I think why I chose a 34, it's a good balance between 20 that I typically like, 50 isn't too bad, and 200 is what I like to use as well. So it's kind of like a good in-between for mid, I would say mid type of moving average. Like it's not too slow, but it's also not too fast. So, okay, when was this? It was right around this time. Now, one of my biggest concerns was it was starting to come to the extremes here with the TDI. But when I was looking at the the hourly, at the time, I'm going to move this up. I don't know why this is all wonky today. So at the time of, let's see, right around here, right, 9 o'clock, if we look a little closer here, around 9 o'clock, so right around here, you guys will notice we haven't gone to any of the extremes. The only extremes that we did notice that it was going to, at least with the EMAs, or I'm sorry, with the TDI, was that it was kind of going around that volatility area of the volatility bands, or I think they're like Bollinger Bands or whatever. So that was a bit of a concern, but it wasn't getting to the extremes of like the 70 area or the 30 area. But we still had like a solid move, and I was still confident in it because of this move down here that I was looking at. This leg, these 3 pushes right here, were, in my opinion, were starting to look like it needed to get filled. And what confirmed it even more was, I mean, you could say that this is a W formation right here, forming these lower lows. Then we have this lower here, this low that was basically forming a little higher. It's failing to break past that low. So to me, that was like another indicator that maybe we're going to be seeing it go up. And as we kind of see that it moved the TDI, it moved past the 0 that we have right here, and it starts moving up. So right now in the hourly, we are starting to see more. It's approaching kind of a little bit of the extremes here. We are seeing a little bit more of this in the 4-hour, where it's starting to go across the 0. So we'll have to see if it's going to try to hit these areas right here. But I'm not going to do my analysis just yet. And this is just kind of me looking at doing a review of my trade. So that was actually pretty darn good. Let's see here. Yeah, because we were also looking to fill this area right here. This was an area at the time that was all completely gray. And I just wanted it to fill this part right here. But then I also noticed that there was these level of excesses right up here as well. And as you guys will see, it reached our goal. If you looked at my first video, or my recent video or whatever, of how I did this, I did the notations and everything as well. So what I am liking so far, and I'm using the TDI along with the ADD and the VOLD or the VOLD, is that usually there's a bit of a movement that happens. So this is the perfect example in this situation where we have the TDI going up, and then we also have the price going up, right? So this, we waited basically, like I said, for the IB for that to get a retest, and we started noticing that this movement with the TDI as well. So we got the confirmation that we needed that, okay, TDI is going up, price is also above the moving average, price is trying to fill this area, the previous areas right here. And then, you know, we looked at the higher time frame as well, and we noticed that, you know, basically price is trying to balance itself. We got these higher highs and higher lows that are moving on up, right? And then we, like I said, waited for that retest for the IB or the retest for the moving average. Nas did a better job of honoring that particular move. Either way, there was still an opportunity. It didn't really matter. And so then when the market did eventually open, when we looked at the ADD or just both market internals, we noticed that both started moving past this 0. ADD formed. Actually, I'm not really a fan of this particular ADD. I don't know why I have this one. I thought I had the other one. Let me just change it real quick. Market internals, where are you? With Makito. And what I liked about the other one, though, completely honest with you, is it just kind of showed, I think it's this one. So I'm going to do a side by side. What I liked about this one was it showed this gigantic move, the green move. And I think with the market internals, the one right here, the Makito one, is it showed like a gigantic red candle. Don't get me wrong, like that's not bad. But that would have made me nervous. As long as the price for the ADD, these candles right here, are above this moving average that we have added, you should still be good. And same thing with the VOLD. As long as it's basically above the 0, for the most part, you should be good as well. So, in theory, it just kind of depends visually of what you kind of like, if you want to see the candlesticks more, or just kind of like this gigantic movement that basically happens. It's totally up to you. So we have that, right? Oh, and another confirmation that we did see or looked into was the actual, I believe it's this one that I used for it. I want to say that's what I did use. And so I still have my chart markings on here that that basically showed around the time that we were watching this, we weren't sure if the gap, this little area right here, was going to get filled down. So once we kind of started seeing a little bit of this movement up, I was paying attention to see if it was actually going to fill, first of all, if it was going to break past this level, this high, and if it was going to fill all of this up. So right around this time, I was kind of hesitating a lot. So it was a little sketchy because it could have honestly gone back down to try to fill this. We at the time weren't sure, but clearly it's gone up. Moving average was also, the price is above the moving average. So that was another confirmation I probably should have stuck with. I probably should have held it, but it's not that serious. You know, as long as you're still able to kind of, you know, get something out of the market, I mean, it's a win situation for me. I'm not even mad, you know. Let's move you up. Actually, yes, move you up. Let's move you up. Yes. So actually I probably don't need to use that. What I have been, well, I want to back test more, but I have been trying to pay attention more to so the TDI, I'm using it in a couple of ways. The extremes of the 70 and the 30 level, as you guys can see in this one. Now this is kind of hard because the market's already formed. You see everything, you see all the data. So when you're actually trading it, that live, when you have no idea what's about to happen, that's the part that's very, very challenging. But if we were taking a look at this, a couple of things, right? So we have the possibility of extremes close to the 70 with the two EMAs, the red and the green, and the extremes in the volatility band, or the bow bands, the Bollinger Bands. We would have noticed a couple of things. If it failed to hit these single prints up here, now we're not going to look at this excess right here because of the fact that that is the formation for that day. That's what formed for that day. So this purple bar would not have existed. But if it failed to try to get this single print, there would have been a probability of it going down. But also the fact that we're seeing this hint that there's a possibility that price is going to go down this way, right? And so we would have been kind of paying attention. Then we would have noticed this price situation right here, where we're forming an M formation. There's that M formation right here. I'm going to actually make this a little skinnier, right? So we have this M formation happening right here, right? We've got this high and then a lower high, and then we want to say call this like a pin bar. I know there's a candle formation. I don't know. I'm not good at candle formations. I just know that when this type of pattern typically happens, and this I believe they would consider this to be a valid M because of this formation, that M formation there, the candle formation that's there. All right. Let me clean that off real quick. Okay. So because of this M formation, right, that failure to reach this, the failure to reach this high, we would have definitely been looking at, okay, well, what exactly is going to happen, right? So I probably would have been a little bit confused because with the moving average as well, you know, it's kind of moving up. We would have waited for some sort of reaction because of the moving average right around here. And this is, depending on how this was formed, the value area high would have been something I would have been paying attention to if it was formed. I would have also paid attention to the initial balance as well if there's going to be reaction there, which, as you guys can see, there was. But for a short, though, I would have anticipated a short, not for a buy. I still would have wanted to get more confirmation before doing anything. But if we do look left, we notice that we've got 1, 2, 3 pushes up. And usually when we see these type of candles, like these big candles, they're either, you know, white, black, whatever color, bullish, bearish, whatever, and we notice that price is starting to come down, there's a high probability of it getting filled. Price is rebalancing itself. So we've got multiple confirmations, right? We've got the M formation that's happening. We've got this moving TDI with the moving averages going down at the areas of extremes. We've got 2 levels of extremes going to the 70, possibly to the 70. We're not sure, and we didn't see it though form. But the fact that it's close to it, the crossing of the moving averages, and the volatility bands as well. So that's 3 of it just with the TDI that we're looking at. Price action is saying with the M, it's not going to the single prints that it's up here from the previous day. Then you've got these 3 candles, this leg of the M that we're noticing. And then if we had waited a little bit more, even if we noticed that price was going down and it broke past this moving average, we're going to pay attention to how it reacts to the value area high if this was formed, and or the moving average, and or the initial balance. So the initial balance can also be a good area for support and resistance for price reaction of some sort. So now that we've seen that, we're going to take a gander at kind of how price went. So one of the things though that really sucks about this particular situation is that price did go up with the ADD. Price is above the EMA, and we have also the VOLD crossing over, but then at some point it decides to come back down. So I think how this would have played out if I had looked at the ADD, this situation right here that was happening would have been a good indication to when price starts going back down below this moving average and probably hitting the 0 level would have been a good move. And it's kind of like, I would say it played kind of right around here. But this is just using the TDI. I'm not even taking like the market internals into effect of this. So I'm going to go and pick another one. Well, this one kind of. So it's kind of the same thing. Well, not really, because this one's a little challenging in a sense of. It sucks because like I see everything. So this is very, very biased, you know. Was this a Monday? Okay, I'm gonna pick a different day because I feel like this is a Monday. I'll pick this. Let's see. So this was kind of, okay, so this is cool too, because it's sort of the same situation as the one that I did, but it's a little different, right? Because we see like, we see this extremes happening, but what's really interesting is these moving averages kind of form like an M formation as well before that move down. And this was the area of extremes, right? You've got the volatility bands right there kind of to the extreme. It tried to go up to the 70 and it didn't, and then it started trying to push back down. So this one's kind of interesting in a sense of we don't have the initial balance anywhere near the area of this situation. Now mind you, this is like around Asian session, so I may or may have not seen this, I don't really know, but let's see if I can mark something real quick. Where is, so it's like right around here. So this would have been an interesting one to take a look at. So we also started noticing right around here when it opened that we do have the extreme here with the Bollinger volatility bands, Bollinger bands, but the moving averages were going below the zero. So there's a possibility for it to keep going down. And kind of right before that, though, we did notice that ADD started moving down as well, and that's kind of roughly around this area. So this would have been really interesting to see how this, it's kind of hard because when candles are forming and you're seeing things, it's really hard to determine what you would do in that scenario. The only thing, in my opinion, for this would have been watching for this low and this low, and if price broke that, I would have shorted it. But what I don't like about it is I don't see much in the left. The only thing that I would, my main concern would have been this initial balance area. I would have preferred to have shorted around here because the excess. But see, maybe not, because this, no, because here's the thing, we don't know if this area that's out of the value right here, the gray area, has formed. No, it hasn't, because the price would have gone down. So I don't know if I would have liked this trade, to be completely honest with you, without looking deeper into what's on the left side of price. Like if I were to look at it in a higher time frame. So it seems like London, so London and New York with the TDI sometimes can get reactions. Let me see here. So let's see, we've got New York. See, it goes back up and it goes back down with the ADD. Okay, and then it kind of forms like an M, right here it does. But we do have this M formation happening here. See, I wouldn't like this because of this massive space with the initial balance. So I don't know if I would have liked that. I think this had to be a Monday. I'm not going to count this because this was a Friday, and I think this was like news related. Let's see here. Ooh, look at this. Well, see, okay. So this would have been interesting to see how it formed, because we had, it didn't, there's still like what, in the 60s. I think this is like in the 60 something. We did not see it get close to 70, right? But it was around the volatility band area. And then it started pushing for the zero right here. And the zero is the dotted line, by the way. I'm sorry, not zero, the 50. The median. So I guess we would have noticed, this would have been an interesting one to see how it would have worked. The only thing that would have made me want to possibly put a position for a buy is because of this single print. That's it though. And this other single print. That's it. But I don't see any other indication besides the fact that we've got this candle, these candle formations or these patterns, this massive bearish leg, and then for this push to go up. But other than that, I don't think I would have liked it. Now, let's see here. So we've got this one right here. And then price is basically coming back to balance it. And price for it to go down. See, I don't like this one. But what we will say though is that the VOLD is going down below the zero. Same thing here with the ADD. Moving averages above the price, and we also opened up with the candle, a massive red candle that's there as well. And this was roughly around ish, something like that. Let me see. Yeah. So I guess if you wanted to trade this and you saw it, yet again, moving average retest, initial balance retest, or you could have waited for this to go, for price to go down and aim for it. But I don't know, because I'm not seeing anything nearby except for this excess down here, but that doesn't even get filled until later on. If you had entered right here, I don't know if I like that, because price would have gone up. But this little area consolidation right here, of it whipsawing and just being bipolar, I'm not a fan of that. And then, so if we entered here, we've only gotten this much, and then it decides to go up, and I mean, eventually, yeah, it goes down, but I'm not holding that the next day. I'm only trying to do this for a couple of hours. And I think my biggest concern with this trade is because of the previous day. Like, look at how freaking, look how crazy it is. It goes down, up, and down. So it's just kind of consolidating. Like, this day was just a day of consolidating, of just going up and down and up and down and up and down. And finally, once it got, you know, whatever figured out with itself, then it decides to move back down. But I don't know if I like that one. I don't think I would have liked that day. That would have been a really short one. I would have been like, whatever, I'm done. But let's take a look at this one. This might be like a really good example right here. I'm gonna close this up. So this one's interesting, right? We've got the extremes right here. Extremes with the 70, kind of like with the stochastic. Extreme with the volatility bands. Then we got the crossing over that happens. We do have the excess print that was here. A failure to go up any higher. And what's really cool as well is we've got this high and then this high, but that high kind of went up a little bit, but not too high. It still went down. Could have traded it in a couple of different ways. You know, could have waited for a retest of the initial balance, either to the low or to the high. I mean, anything basically beyond, below the moving average that we have here, it should be good. And if we had looked left, this would be considered, you know, these previous lows right here, I guess you would consider that to be order blocks, because of the way, you know, price is kind of consolidating around here, and then it decides to move up with this massive bullish candle that's right here. And you know, as we have always said, price will balance itself out, and so it's trying to balance back down to here. And did we get any sort of excess prints here? I don't think so. So there wasn't really anything as far as with single prints excess or anything that would have really got our attention, except possibly just aiming for this these two areas right here, these little order blocks, and you know, there you go, it basically had taken it. If we look at the ADD, so it's beautiful. This one's perfect because of the fact that the moving average is above, EMAs are here, the price is right here, and we've got this massive red candle. We also have the VOLD going all the way down, VOLD going all the way down. below the 0. So this would probably be the perfect conditions for it, because everything's at the top. Like we've got like the initial balance right here. I like it when the initial balance is around the area of like the moving average and everything like that. Like I like it when everything is up here to like the level of extremes, right? And we have the TDI that's also screaming extreme. So I like when these two kind of situations happen from what I've noticed. So let us take a look at, where are we? Alright, so this one is a little wonky. I always pay attention to the middle of the TDI, the 50, because that's the area of kind of like balancing. It's kind of the same concept with the ADD, right? We're looking at the 0, whereas this one we're looking at the 50. If it breaks past the 50, there's a possibility for it to be a short. There could be a short position for it. And then if we take a look at how this all kind of formed itself, we do have price trying to retest the initial balance, but the fact that it's below the moving average, that's perfect. So you could have shorted this when this low got tested, and it pushed down and then went for a retest, and you could have aimed for this excess right here from not the previous day but some other previous day would have been the perfect move for it. And that could have been a move, and this could have been an Asian to London type of trade. And then let's see what happened with the New York Open. Let's see, let me see here. Boop. All right. So it decided to reverse, right? We've got this massive green candle with the ADD. EMA is below, price is above. Then we noticed the cross that had happened with the TDI, right? Where we kind of noticed that move. And we see that it's trying to go up to these extremes. We are in the extremes though with the volatility bands. And we also notice that price with the VOLD is pushing past that 0. So one of the biggest things would be waiting for a retest. I would have gone on a lower time frame and seen if price was going to try to come back, retest this high, and if it didn't, we probably would have gotten somewhere around here. Depending, if you go on a smaller time frame, you would have been able to kind of see how that would have gone. And then if you're still not comfortable, you could have still waited for like some sort of retest with the moving average. If you had seen this, especially in this area of consolidation, it went straight on up. But I wouldn't have seen a real target area except for maybe like this excess print right here. So I guess there's different ways to go about this one. This one's cool because you could have shorted it or you could have bought into it. Would have depended on your schedule and kind of your preference. So I think there's so many ways to trade this though with the TDI, and like I said, it's not it's challenging because we see how the market has already formed versus when it's happening. So I'm going to try to do some more back testing because I think all of this together and just using price action would just be perfect. So anyways, this was a bit of a market review and a little bit of a back testing. And then I'm going to do some more back testing. I'm going to use NAS. I believe I was using this one. Yeah, so this was one that I was back testing with NAS. I was using Spaceman with this. And I'm actually going to change this to 5 because I didn't show that. I don't know what's up with my thing. I think I was experimenting with stuff or whatever. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So this was actually the same thing that I had talked about. This was actually very similar to my trade in US30, right? So we noticed that we waited for the retest right here. Wait, let me redo that. That's horrible. So we noticed that we have the moving average is moving past the 50 and it's going up and it's trying to test the areas that are here, these extremes. We notice that VOLD is going up. We notice that ADD is going up. Now, I gotta change this ADD, but it's fine. The fact that there's this massive green move push is an indicator, and that it's pushing past the zero is an indicator for us to go up. So when that happened, when we notice these types of moves and hints, we're going to pay attention to this area right here, because it was a high, and we would have noticed possibly a retest right around here. I know you're thinking, well, why couldn't we have done this part? Because we still have no idea. Like, that candle formed before the ADD or the VOD kind of gave us the hint that we needed. So if you wanted to, if you were risky that way and you were confident in what you were doing, you could have gone for this candle. I would have liked this one better, because initial balance retest, EMA retest, then we got the confirmation from the market internals as well, and then it all decides to go up, and I believe, what did it hit? I think there was excess points here. No, there wasn't. So I would have just held it, aimed for these previous. Oh, this was okay. Actually, it was today. I thought this was a stinking replay. Yeah, whatever. Either way, you get the gist. That's kind of how I want to take a look at it, because this was a perfect scenario. If I had marked this as a level of order block or resistance to aim, then it's perfect. So it went perfectly. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna try to do some replay, actually some back testing later. I don't want it to be too long or anything.